Hello there, welcome back to another review. So you didn't think that Kung Fu Zombie was the only film Billy Chong done in the comedy Kung Fu horror genre, did you? Of course it wasn't. He also made this movie here, and that is Kung Fu from Beyond the Grave, which I believe was made in 1982 and directed by Lieh Chiu. I think this one may be less seen than Kung Fu Zombie, I'm not sure, and despite the movie still having what you would come to expect from a film of this ilk, the fights, the rituals, the black magic, the wizards, the Kung Fu, it's actually a very different vehicle to Kung Fu Zombie, and in many ways actually plays a lot more serious and less of that slapstick comedy is present. Not to say the film isn't bonkers, mad and enjoyable, because it is, and that's the reason why I loved Kung Fu Zombie so much. And this movie here, if nothing else, for the sheer unpredictable nature of it, like you're never sure what is coming, what is going to happen next, or what the filmmakers are going to do. Now the film, as I say, is just as mad and as crazy as you come to expect, and I would say I haven't watched this one as much as Kung Fu Zombie over the years when it comes to your Billy Chong Kung Fu horror, but this one is still one you should check out. I will say the pacing is not as frantic and kinetic as Kung Fu Zombie, and it's a much more slower movie, which to some of you out there, if you weren't that much into Kung Fu Zombie, you might appreciate this one a bit more if you're into sort of your Kung Fu horror. It is a bit more slower. The filmmakers are a tiny bit more in control, but believe you me, crazy weird stuff does still happen, and what the hell stuff does go down, which I will try and get into over the course of the review, but it's quite apparent this movie doesn't possess that sort of madcap energy that Kung Fu Zombie had. But hey, this film even has Dracula in it. I mean, come on, Dracula in a Kung Fu movie, you gotta love it. You have to remember as well that this was made in 1982, and that traditional style of Kung Fu movie making was slowly going out of fashion as filmmakers in Hong Kong were getting more accustomed to shooting modern day actioners and moving away from what we had been used to for the better part of the 70s. But again, if you enjoy films like Sammo Hung's Encounters of the Spooky Kind, Dead and the Deadly, or even Mr. Vampire, you will find a lot of fun with this one. So if you like the bizarre, wizards, black magic, kung fu, tacky practical effects and Count Dracula, then put your feet up and pop in some Kung Fu from Beyond the Grave. So we learn about this ghost festival, and it's the only time the gates of Hades are open. We get Billy Chong showing off his amazing physique, and no sooner has the film started and then his zombie dad comes to visit him, saying he must seek revenge on Cam Tai Fu. And who do you think that's played by? Well, none other than Shaw Brothers veteran Lieh, of course. So Billy sets off on his journey, dressed like Bruce Lee from Fist of Fury for some reason. We then cut to these two wizards fighting from the same school over a magic book. One of them gets taken out. Billy finds the book hidden in the dead guy's sword. He stays at an inn and can still hear his dad's voice saying to avenge him. So our evil priest is working for Lieh, played by, I want to say, Chong-lai, I think is his name. One point spitting loads of blood all over his face as well. Lovely. The whole idea is basically Cam Tai Fu wants to become invincible. Our evil wizards, like sort of his subordinates, are told to get male and female hearts of the young and healthy. Someone, however, is spying on them and escapes. And I swear in this movie you actually hear some music cues from Alien as well. So Chong goes to Lieh's school and starts beating the crap out of some pupils. As I say, the editing is not as manic as Kung Fu Zombie, but we still get to see Billy Chong do his thing. So he gives Count Tai Fu a telling off, and he's like, yeah, my dead dad visited me. Maybe not best to open with that when you're going to start a sentence and this is the guy sort of you want to take out. It's like just going in there and saying you saw your dead dad's ghost. Maybe sort of rein it in a little bit. Really wants to know the location of his dad and wants to donate his wealth to charity. He ends up taking on our evil wizard. Anyway, cue a big fight scene. Billy goes to try and get Lieh while he's sleeping and in bed and wants to know where his dad's body is. And Lieh, being forever reasonable, just simply says, "Ask him in hell." And of course, another fight begins. So it's basically just the same scene we saw a while ago, only at night. And that is another thing you will notice too, like there's quite a lot, majority of the movie is at night. So dependent upon sort of the quality of the print that you're watching this movie on, it can be quite a dark movie. The wizard takes him on with his black magic and Billy runs away again. So it's not going all that well here. He's sort of running away again like he did previously. So he goes to sleep in the morgue where there are these two loud drunks, and you guessed it, the corpses come alive. Billy gets the book and starts communicating with the corpses, and I love how one of them even has like sort of an antenna aerial to sort of pick up the transmission. Billy's plan is to sort of use them as assassins, you see. And the thing is as well with this film, it's trying really hard. You can tell it is trying so hard to be like Sammo's Encounters of the Spooky Kind, or even a bit like, if you remember, sort of like the end of Dreadnought. It's been sort of channeling them vibes. Billy uses his new book Against the Wizard's Ghost with some very dodgy special effects, but that's part of the reason why we love this movie. Just, you know, movies like this, it's just how cheaply they're done, how tacky and dodgy the special effects are, and it all adds to it. So what does our evil wizard summon? Oh, you know, just Dracula. Now, if you wasn't saying what the hell at any time before this, you definitely would be when this scene happens. Very interesting, if what, very unpredictable, having a Western vampire in the movie. We get crosses and garlic, then Billy having like a normal kung fu fight with some henchmen. Billy is saved by this mysterious stranger after his zombie corpses sort of bail on him. Turns out he's like a government agent sent to investigate the murders, and goes to see this guy who might know where his father's bones are. And this guy being old Fang. And he walked home one night and found loads of dead bodies, tore out the victims' hearts. So in case you haven't guessed yet, Lieh as Kam Tai-fu, he's a bad guy. He's a bad dude. Go figure. So Billy goes to the burial ground with old Fang and his daughter. Loads of like hands come up from the graves, all like pretending to be his dad, as they all died horribly. How does Billy find his dad? Well, his dad had 6 fingers on one hand. Now at least that's one form of identification. Where I think the film maybe feels a bit off is that despite everything that happens in the movie being so crazy, bonkers and off the wall, it's a shame that most of the cast and characters is played actually very serious and actually quite straight, when I think maybe a few more comedic scenes and comedic touches would have aided the film greatly. Then this evil ghost comes after them on some very high wires and has the whole sort of long arm thing going on. This man and woman who are working for Lieh go to get some hearts at the local inn, but are foiled in their attempt. Lieh says he's like not to worry and offers them a room for the night. So you're thinking, okay, that was nice of him. Then as these two are getting down to it, he just creeps in and stabs them to death and wants their hearts taken out. See, I told you he was a bad dude. So it begins yet another ritual, and honestly the amount of times Lieh gets spat over in this movie with supposed blood is beyond belief. So he can't be cut now, but in his overconfident state he actually does get stabbed. Uncle Fang, Billy's friend from the morgue, gets stabbed, and the government guy gets into a chase in one of the classic sort of it was night, now suddenly it's light sequences. The guy twists his neck. I mean, there was no reason at all for Fang to die, or for this guy that stabbed Fang either to get murdered, but anyway. So Billy now wants Kam Tai-fu bad, as if he didn't want him bad enough at this point anyway. Lee Chung, the guy's accomplice, who works with, there's like Lee Hong as well, Fang's daughter. They sort of work together to try and draw Kam's attention, to draw the wizard out. So of course they trap the wizard with the aid of some prostitutes using their sanitary towels, and there are actually quite a few cool set pieces in the movie. I think the movie too suffers quite a bit from character overload. Like, it has way too many characters than needed. Like, this should very much be just a sole Billy Chong vehicle, but it's almost like he's got this team with him as well, and so I think there are too many characters in the movie for me. I wish it had been more focused on Billy Chong. So as I say, I do apologise if this review has been a bit confusing. So I say sometimes you even actually forget Billy Chong is even there. As I say, he has to sort of work with this sort of government agent. But make no mistake though, you still get your horror and kung fu fix, and the fights are finely choreographed. It maybe could have just benefited from being a bit more tongue-in-cheek rather than being as serious as it is. So they are three amigos beat the wizard. It's quite a funny joke where they go, is he dead? And he replies sort of 3 against 1. That would have been quite amazing if I lived. So there is comedy in the movie, but by and large, as I say, it is played quite straight. So they march on cams, complete with villagers and burning torches at this point, and sort of a kung fu riot erupts. Chiu's place sort of gets set alight. He gets chased by like these fireballs and corpses. Suddenly it's morning and he returns to face Billy, and naturally of course had to have these two go at it sort of in a one-on-one fight. And the movie has sort of done away with all the horror elements at this stage, or at least you think it has. And Billy is finding it like hard to like beat and wound Kam. He starts attacking his wounds, and where everyone else is at this stage, I have no idea. Anyway, the corpses sort of help Billy, which doesn't really come to much, and Kam sort of gets buried alive. I mean, I guess that's sort of a new way to get rid of your kung fu villain. Usually I say it's sort of some finger jabs in the eye, but this one he gets buried alive. And I'd like to say I'm not bashing Kung Fu from Beyond the Grave. I think it's still a great movie, though it does have a few problems. I think, like I say, far too many characters and being way more serious than it needs to be, but you still get your classic kung fu horror like wacky kung fu fix with this one. And if you enjoyed Kung Fu Zombie, you will enjoy this one too. So what about you guys? If you've seen Billy Chong, if you've seen his 2 horror movies, if you've seen Kung Fu Zombie and you've seen Kung Fu from Beyond the Grave, which one do you prefer? Make sure to let me know in the comments below. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.